Hi, this is Alex.
And welcome back.
In today's episode, we have our special guest, Giulia.
Hello. So, Giulia, do you want to talk about yourself?
All right. Just a quick introduction.
So, I'm an Italian student. I've been in research for the past 5 years. Started my degree in Denmark, Germany, and then I came here.
Wow. International.
Yes. And I started with a heavily chemistry-based degree, and then I passed to evolutionary biology, cell biology, molecular biology, and now I'm in the hospital dealing with blood.
Cool.
Is it a big contrast from your initial idea? When you first started degree?
Yeah, I mean, I started my degree as a college degree in Denmark, so it was heavily practical, which was good.
Which is good, yeah. I mean, all the practical skills.
I loved it.
Get that much in uni.
To be fair, we wouldn't be here if we didn't like practical skills, do we?
Your research masters.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I can't be bothered dealing with exams anymore.
Agreed.
So, yeah, it was nice. And then, I need to find an internship to complete a degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I ended up in Germany at the Max Planck Institute. But
were you? Oh, that's a really good institution, isn't it?
I know. It was good. I also got paid, which was very well.
That's even better.
That's even better, yes.
I'm paid to study, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And yeah, it was really nice. So I got a boost of confidence because my lab was really good. The work was not that interesting because it was like algae and stuff. So I didn't really care about that. But I mean, it was really interesting just to learn a lot of things. And then,
the skills?
Yeah, I learned a lot of cool things actually they don't even have here, like a special type of PCR, for example. It's called digital droplet that they don't even have here. So it's a special machine. It's supposed to be like 100 times better than the qPCR or something.
All right. Why do you think we don't have it here?
Probably cash.
It's really expensive, yes.
I'm pretty sure we can afford it based on the international fees that have been charging. 30 grand per year. Whee!
Yeah, but I mean, as we talked about it in the rep thingy, for example, they don't get a lot of funding from that, just the university keeps it.
That is true.
It's probably the dean that keeps everything for themselves.
Yeah. Like actually I was talking to someone, so she's a postdoc. She's been a postdoc for a very long time.
Right.
Even when you bring your own grant, they decide how much you're gonna earn, even if it's your grant.
What?
That is not fair.
She could just start her own lab.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, when you have your grant and then you have to fill up a whole lot of things, like this gonna go for like my wage, and that is gonna be for like lab stuff and what's going on. And they also noticed that when guys decided to put their own wage in it,
right,
it was mostly accepted. Whereas with women, they will say, no, you can't modify this thing.
What?
It's like fixed.
What is this? No, honestly.
That's
what
a gender
is this society?
pay gap.
Oh, yeah.
In our university. Oh, that's what the strike's about?
Yeah,
no, the strike is about pension, I think, and like lecturers and stuff.
Yeah, but this is not just about the gender pay gap. This is about misogyny too.
That is true.
And she also explained it to me as like guys always tend to put it, and then if they'll get rejected, fine. But women tend not to do that because they'll think, I don't know, since there's all these problems about women's self-worth and stuff, they won't do that, and they get told, you can't do that. Well, men don't really care, and sometimes they get overlooked, so they get more money out of it.
It's outrageous.
I know.
I agree.
I know. I think women need to stand up more.
Yeah, I know. I mean, to be fair, I've been lucky so far. Actually, last time I got a job, I got paid more than my boyfriend with the same hours, so...
I mean, bravo.
So that was an accomplishment. I just think it was a different lab, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So also today, quickly, guys, I wanted to address the fact that I may have jinxed the weather in Edinburgh so far.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly, because since I said it on the last episode, we have been having torrential rain and just miserable weather.
Yeah, and then it's not going to be snow anymore next week.
Well, you can't really trust with predictions anyway, because it's mainly just guesses from a computer.
Well, I like to hope.
Well, you can hope.
Also, as well.
But you know how you come up with predictions of weather? It's just a massive computer that makes calculations, and it's basically prediction on what's most likely to happen.
Not just that, it's also satellite, isn't it? So they have satellite pictures. Yeah,
it takes the pictures into account when it does the calculations, but the computer most of the time comes up with a guess of what's going to happen in the next few days. Right. So you can have a fairly good guess of what's going to happen tomorrow and a few days. But if it's going to be in a week time, then it's going to be like, it's going to rain, and then you turn up to the actual day, it's actually sunny and 24 degrees.
Woo!
I never really consider the weather here more than like the day.
Really?
Yeah, there's too much wind.
And also, it's
Fair
the fact
enough.
that Edinburgh is surrounded by mountains. It covers it quite well.
It's more hills than mountains, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but still, it's enough to change the climate slightly.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, there's a great difference if you look between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Glasgow has a much warmer climate than Edinburgh does. That's because Glasgow has the Gulf Stream coming by it.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
on the
true,
opposite
yeah.
it's on the opposite coast. Yeah, makes sense. They also have more rain though.
Yeah.
Yeah, more
yeah,
rain,
because
but
it's the-
warmer.
No, I don't give a crap about warmer. I mean,
It's not cold water falling, it's hot water. You can make tea out of it.
well, to be fair, would you rather just be, you can't do anything because there's like torrential rain, or just get covered up and have a nice chill walk?
Yeah.
Well, so it depends how you dress in the end of the day, isn't it?
Well, no, because you're still going to get wet. Even doesn't matter how you dress, you're going to get wet. What's going to happen?
If you wear a waterproof outfit, you'll be fine.
Yeah, but that
Unless
outfit's
you're
still
wrapped
gonna
in
get
cellophane, like, what's the name of the plastic that you put on food? I don't remember.
Cling film.
Cling film,
I thought
yes.
you were talking perfume, but after
No.
too much time in the lab.
Well, also that, but it's expensive compared to
Yeah, and
cling
sticky and awful and the cause of many, many problems.
well,
What, parafilm or cling film?
Perfume.
both.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused because it's all film at the end. It both made of plastic, are they?
No, one's made of
No.
petroleum. Well, technically, yes, because plastic is petroleum,
Yeah.
but one is more directly petroleum than the other.
They invented parafilm to use in space ships.
Why? How?
I wouldn't trust it. I barely trust the one we use in labs.
I don't remember like a guy in one of my older labs. They told me that they invented it to use like on board of spaceships and stuff.
So like duct tape.
Yeah,
Super
kind
duct
of.
tape.
So why don't they just use duct tape?
I don't know.
Surely
I
it's
don't
good
know.
enough. You can stop
Cheaper.
a bath. You can stop a bath from leaking with duct tape. Surely you can use it in a spaceship.
Oh well, fancy stuff. Looks fancier. You can play with it as well.
And get more funding for it. Like, oh, come on, fancy a name. Like, duct tape was the film thing.
Perfume.
Film thing.
Right.
Yes, so Giulia, would you want to tell us a bit, tell us about your project?
So to be fair, it's a bit boring as lab-wise it is because it's the same thing all over again. So you get your blood samples from the routine blood cultures, which is basically a blood sample taken from a patient that's in the hospital that is suspected to have blood infections. So they take it, they put it in a special bottle with media, and then they let it to grow up to 5 days. Once it's flagged, they take it and they do the routine
How would
stuff.
it be flagged?
So I think it's a spectrophotometer. So it's a fancy spectrophotometer / incubator thing. And once it gets cloudier, the specific slot where the bottle is starts to flag. So you can take it from that and then just perform the whole
for our
routine.
listeners, a spectrophotometer is a machine that will shine light through a sample, and depending on how much light goes through, we get different results.
Exactly. So after that, the routine diagnostic lab, it's very long because it may take up to 5 days to get the bacteria to grow, and then you have to do gram staining, and then you have to put on selective and differential plates, and then you have to go, and then again it takes a long time to grow on the plate to have colonies. So the main thing of my projects is like to cut down on half on this specific time.
Okay.
Because during all this time the patients it's under broad spectrum antibiotic, which it may not be good because it's not
Specific enough.
It's not specific enough, and also it can help the rise on antimicrobial resistance.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Your body get used to the same antibiotics.
Yes, and sometimes, most of the time, for example, when it's gram negative, they use gentamicin, but 95% of the time it's fine, but sometimes it's not. And then when you get this bacteria, which is also resistant, and then you just keep on getting resistant.
So for our listeners, gram staining is a technique commonly used in lab to detect whether or not a bacteria is in two groups. So there's two main groups of bacterium, the gram-positive and the gram-negative. For gram-positive bacteria, they will be able to be stained in a purple color, which is the main stain in the solution. The counter stain stains the negative bacteria in a pinkish color, and that's how we distinguish two main types of bacteria, gram-positive and gram-negative.
They actually were grouped in this group after the guy invented the gram staining.
And
so
the scientist who invented it is...
I don't remember the name.
He's Danish, and his name is Hans Christian Gram in 1884. Sorry.
Hence the name gram staining.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically my project, it's the purpose of my project is start to get a business case to invest in a new mass spectrometer and to invest in the specific kit. So it's a commercial kit from Bruker, the same manufacturer there that produces the mass spectrum machine as well.
Okay.
And they produce the specific kit. So once you have the blood samples, you take one aliquot out of it, and then there's a quick extraction, which just lasts like 2 minutes. And then you pop it on the machine, and in about half an hour, you can have 20 samples done.
So the whole test, how long would that take in theory?
The whole test, it would take, with the antibiotic, because it also has an antibiotic, after you identify the bacteria, it also has antibiotic resistant testing. Mm-hmm. The whole thing could take maximum 8 hours after you have the blood culture, so not counting the time for the bacteria to flag. So instead of having like a week where the patient's in the hospital, like with all the broad spectrum antibiotic, it could take 3 days.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the whole process. It has been a bit boring. Felt like doing in a, when you work in a factory, it's the same thing all over again.
Very manual.
Yes, but I chose it mostly because I've been in research for so long. Like I've learned all the fancy techniques and stuff. So I decided to see how an NHS lab would be.
All right, so it's a new experience for you to work in an NHS lab instead of a research lab.
Yes. I mean, I've done research, a lot of research, different type of research. So let's see how NHS is, also because I want to apply for the NHS training program now in January.
So, I heard about that,
if any of the people on the board of the NHS training program would be thinking on who can go through, well, think of Giulia as a prime example.
Wow, 5 years of experience. I know my lab stuff, so...
So is there what you want to
Free advertisement.
Is there anything you want to say to listeners, the difference between working in a research lab and a NHS lab now?
So NHS lab, I think it's more like a company.
Is it?
Yes. Because it's very strict. So they have their rules. You have to wear your lab coats and you can't listen to music. You have to, especially in the bacteria pot, you have to wash your hands all the time. And there's like...
I will die in the lab. No ice cream for me.
It's just stricter, let's say.
Right.
Whereas in research, and you also have shifts. So you work on weekends as well, and
you have to go in weekends.
Yeah.
What?
Because people get sick. I mean, not me, but people that work in routine stuff, they also have to go on weekend because people still get sick in Christmas and
that's
and weekends. So in research, it's not like this. Basically, you can, unless your PI is very strict, but you can turn up anytime you want. You can finish
anytime you want.
You can finish. It can take like 5 hours, it can take 12 hours. So it just mostly depends on the experiments. Whereas in there, you have your fixed time. So you have to do those hours.
All right. Because I tried to apply for a biomedical science lab with the NHS a couple of years ago. And then they say you're expected to be doing on-calls.
You can also be on call, yes. But because someone may be like, I don't know, called in sick or something, and then you have to come. But you're not on call all the time.
All right, so you take rotations.
I mean, personally, I was I'm still technically a bank healthcare assistant for the NHS. Yeah, so I am technically still on call for whenever they need people for shifts, except I'm registered for the Gloucester Share Care Services.
Yes, how does that work then? Like, are they going to pay your flight to come down?
No, so basically that's basically impossible for me to go there. But I will try to register for the Edinburgh or Lothian NHS.
Yeah, Lothian, yeah.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, my supervisor, she's really nice. So she told me...
Is she like a medical doctor then?
No, she's a PhD. She's a microbiology PhD.
So she's a PhD student?
No, she's a postdoc. Let's say she's a consultant. So she's a clinical consultant. She basically did her PhD and then applied for the NHS training program.
Oh, right. So is that what you're going to do as well?
I mean, I don't want to do a PhD. I've worked with too many PhDs and I'm tired of exam and the whole university
Viva thing, yeah.
Yes, I know, I'm tired of it.
For our listeners, for PhD programs, it's not just do your research for 4 years and submit a dissertation at the end, because you could be doing something really quickly and then having 2 years off. No, each year there's an annual review, which is called a Viva, in which you have to defend your program.
That's just
and
the final one, the Viva, though. You have the thesis committee.
Yeah, but technically there's a Viva every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, especially like in projects with the East Bio or through the Edinburgh. I know most Edinburgh PhDs have to have a Viva every year to check the progress of the PhD student. And so the student will go in front of a board of a committee of the board or whatever not, and make a presentation about the progress of the project, what is going to change in the future compared to the original idea, what is going on well, what isn't going on so well, the positive and the negative results, and what they should expect in the next meeting.
I know they can kick you out after the first and the second year, but then you get a master's. If it's first year, it's Master of Research. Second year is Master of Philosophy. Yeah.
I'm Phil.
But I mean, it's usually like, I know a girl, I don't know if she's been kicked out yet, but she was in the process of being kicked out because for the whole first year of PhD, she was just watching Netflix in the lab all the time.
Okay. Waste of time.
So yeah, they basically told her, like, in one of those thesis committees, like, okay, you have 3 months to do something to see that you're actually, you can do anything.
Yes.
But that was about 4 months ago, so I don't know.
But yeah,
I don't understand.
That could happen after each Viva, for example, if they see that the progress is crap. Well, it can be crap in other circumstances where the technique
that's the project,
yeah, the technique used isn't working, or the project itself is not going to go anywhere. In which case you can reorientate the project into something that may work differently or something that will look at different projects. But if it's due to the user that is not given any
effort
to the project, then you can be.
That's usually really rare that they kick you out. So
I mean, you can also decide to leave in different circumstances, but that is also rare.
Yeah, it depends on your supervisor mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't understand why would someone go through all this PhD application, which is hard work, and get a PhD, just get it, and not doing it.
Maybe she was just offered a PhD and said yes.
Well, it's really rare as well, especially with funding.
I know, it's really rare, but that might have happened. I mean, we don't know the full story here.
No.
That is true, but...
She probably didn't want to do a PhD, and the supervisor was just pushing her to do a PhD with them. We don't know.
Well, she could have still said no.
She could. But yeah.
Still stole the money from someone else that could have used it.
Yes, true. So, Giulia, you brought in a paper in today.
Yes, I did.
And do you want to introduce the paper to us?
So, the paper, it's called Matrix-Assisted Laser Desorption Ionization Time-of-Flight Mass Spectrometry, which is the type of mass spectrometry I'm using.
Okay.
And it's used for positive blood culture.
In short terms, it's called
MALDI-TOF, yes. And it's basically a paper one of the papers that supports why my project is useful.
Okay.
And it's a review, and it basically, the most important thing that also said in the beginning, that most patients with bacteremia, which is basically blood infections, have an increased risk of dying for the longer time they don't get diagnosed.
Right, so time is crucial.
Time is really crucial, and empirical treatment with both spectrum antibiotic is usually started, which we said before. But diagnostic is necessary to observe 25 to 30% of increase in recovery.
Right.
The blood infections can lead to sepsis, which is lethal, and it's also systemic organ failure. So when it goes into septic shock, which is the worst part of it, most people don't recover from it and die.
Yep.
And is especially dangerous for people in intensive care units or, immunosuppressed people. And even though the blood culture methods is the gold standard now, meaning everywhere it's used and it works, but it's still way too long, because it can take up to 10 days, depending on the bacterial strain, depend if there's been any mistake between the whole process, because it's a lot of steps. So from the blood taken.
And also, it's fairly hard to reproduce the in vivo like so in the human body, the conditions of blood within the lab.
Well, to be fair, if it was not that good, they wouldn't use it.
True.
Because they tried with other molecular biology technique, like immunostaining, so where they use antibodies or to get the specific antigens or proteins that are on top of the bacteria to recognize which one it is, or PCR. So you do a quick DNA extraction, and then you have a specific primer, which is a template DNA, and it gets amplified, so you have more of it, and then you can detect it. Those methods, however, are not reproducible enough to be applied in clinical settings.
Okay.
But MALDI-TOF has shown a lot of good results, so it has been tested throughout different settings. So
it's promising.
It is promising, and it's already being used in the labs.
For example, I know that one of the PhD students who used to work in an NHS lab down in London says that they use MALDI-TOFs all the time to detect bacteria.
Yeah, they do, but instead of using my method, which is directly from the blood, they go through the whole plate and purified colonies. So it's very good because it's very rapid. After you have your bacteria, it gives you identification, and even though you don't have a completely pure extract, but if you smear a colony, there's gonna be a lot of stuff in it. It still gives you pretty good results.
Okay.
So it's really promising because it's very reproducible, and 2 main companies now offer the machine and the kits, which is like Bruker, the one that we have now here in the Royal Infirmary, and another one is Big Tech. And they both offer extensive library with all the bacteria, and it gets updated every year. And the only problem with this method is it's more precise with gram-negative bacteria than with gram-positive, because gram-positive tends to be stickier and clumpier because of the biofilm, which is protein substance that they synthesize to adhere to surfaces. Yes, sorry. I'm a bit dyslexic today. The thing is, since most of these kits that are being produced, they still say that it's just research based, they shouldn't be used inside the hospital. Many hospitals are testing them, and that's what my project is basically up. So I'm collecting as much data as I can, and then we'll try to get a business case to implement this method. So basically, to shorten the time it takes for a diagnosis, and even though the kit may be expensive at the beginning, it saves the NHS a lot of money, because every day that a person stays in the hospital, it's about £200 per person. So
now they're cutting the time of people staying in the hospital, and also cutting the time of diagnosis.
Exactly, which saves them money, beds, and people
and
that
resources,
work, the resources. So hopefully we can get it.
Cool. So I had a few questions about this, actually. It says in the paper, you said yourself that it takes between 12 and 30 hours. Why is it so varied?
It depends on the bacteria growth.
Okay.
And also, for my point of view, it depends how long the bacteria takes to grow on the plate for the antibiotic testing, because it doesn't take in consideration only the time for the bacteria to be recognized to the machine, but it also takes in consideration the time it takes for all the antibiotic testing to see which one is actually the one.
So what would be the cost of testing with that MALDI-TOF system, for example? I know it said in the paper that each sample costs about £3 or $3 something. That's for the filtering kit, isn't it?
Yes. So I think my kit, it's about £100, but you can get 250 samples out of it.
Okay.
And if you think about it, you only need one extraction, but then when you have a plate, you can use multiple slots. So the actual cost compared to what they do now, I think it would be less, because they use a lot of plates, like other plates, and they're precasted, because of course needs to be quality checked. So in the long run, it's less plastic, less resources, and overall less money.
I mean, I like the fact that this paper also pointed out that the impact was an estimated increase of 24% in patient outcome.
Yeah.
And also that they checked that the proper discrimination of microbe by using gram staining in the
Yes, that's what the routine does actually. So once
it's good to compare the method with a multitol with a routine one.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing actually. After I've got all my samples, so I'm comparing my results with the gold standards and the patient's results to see if I'm close or like I'm exactly the same. How long did it take? So a couple of times when I had blood cultures bottle that just flagged in the morning, I used it for my sample. In 8 hours, I already knew the whole profile of the bacteria. So what was it? What were resistant or susceptible to? Whereas for them, it took like 5 days.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I mean, do you see a future where, for example, the testing could take possibly a maximum 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
Yeah, so the old protocol, like the whole extraction would be about half an hour because it was a lengthier protocol. Now you just have a lysis buffer, 2 minute centrifugation, washing, 1 minute centrifugation, and then you're done.
And that's it?
Yeah.
That's really quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you need a full extraction, because sometimes because of biofilms and stuff, you may need a full extraction, but the whole full extraction takes about another 5 minutes.
All right, so it's not so much extra time.
No, it's actually cuts a lot on it.
Interesting. Well, that will be it for us today, guys. Thank you for coming, Giulia.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. And also, please remember to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
And listen on us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
and SoundCloud. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey!